What's up, you guys? Back with another video. Sorry for the lack of videos. Definitely want to get back to that daily upload schedule. My phone isn't connecting to Wi-Fi and all this other stuff. It is what it is, but we're gonna get back on schedule. We're gonna get back with the persistency. Video is about is why I do not smoke weed. I don't do nicotine. I don't drink. I don't do any of that stuff. Now, two caveats here. Number one, it's unique to everybody. So the things that I may outline here, you may not completely resonate with them. But I will say for some of these things, usually most people aren't the exception to the rule, but they want to say that they're the exception to the rule because they just, want to continue doing their bad habit. Like, oh yeah, I could smoke weed and be productive, etc. We're going to go into that. And another thing is I do smoke CBD, right? So a lot of people think that THC and CBD are the same thing. So when I say CBD, you're like, oh, you do smoke weed. No, I smoke CBD, which I guess can be considered as weed, but it's more of a medication. It's more of a healing type thing. It doesn't get you high at all. It doesn't get you high, right? So if you don't know about CBD, I'm not going to make a video about it. I'm not going to talk about it too much. Just look it up. I do very intense workouts, so this kind of speeds up the healing factor for me. But the first thing I wanted to talk about, and this is more regarding towards weed and alcohol, but I will get into nicotine later on in the video, is that it kills ambition. Now, this isn't really something that happens with nicotine because nicotine is more of a stimulant. But when I used to smoke weed a ton, my ambition would be killed. Okay, I would smoke so much weed that I would literally feel numb. And I think it gets to the point where it is kind of detrimental to what you actually want to do in life. So when you smoke weed, it gives you the feeling of just comfort. It gives you the feeling of everything's gonna be all right. Everything's gonna be all right. That's how it feels when you smoke weed. It's just like, it's comfortable. It feels good. It feels like, oh, everything's gonna be fine. But at the same time, and that's a good thing, and a lot of people smoke weed because of that reason, but at the same time, you got to have that level of, I want to push my life forward. I want to push my life forward. I want to push my life forward. And to me, what weed did to me, right? What weed did to me is it kept me comfortable. It kept me in this zone of just like, it's all right. I don't need to upload that video. I don't need to do this. I don't need to do that. I don't need to do this. Even though when the crazy thing is when I started making YouTube videos, that's kind of when I stopped smoking weed. Was when I first started making YouTube videos. I was like, all right, I didn't completely stop, but I was like, I'm gonna chill on this for a while. So that kind of goes to show that when you stop smoking weed, the things that you actually want to do get done. When you smoke weed, I feel like it keeps you in that state of just not building, not being an entrepreneur with the things you want to do, not starting, not going after what you want, because it allows you to be comfortable in your comfort zone. We all got a comfort zone that we must push past in order to become a better version of ourselves. And I think what weed does is it kind of allows you to stay in this kind of comfortable zone and be okay with it. And that's the same thing with alcohol, but I think with alcohol it's a bit more detrimental, because with weed, and this is something that was happening to me a lot, is that I would smoke, right? And then I'd get thoughts of just I gotta be on my shit. I gotta be on my grind. Why am I doing smoking? And then it kind of caused me anxiety. It kind of get me into this weird depression. And then I'd smoke more. And then that's when I'd get into the numb phase that I was trying to reach. This just I can't feel anything. I'm just gonna eat food or play video games or do some bull crap and just, ignore all the problems going on to my life. But there was that stage of just this anxiety feeling of damn, what am I doing? I'm just sitting here smoking weed. That's what I do. Thoughts start to come up. Thing about alcohol is that it kind of doesn't do that. It doesn't allow you to think. it just takes the ambition away from you without giving you warning signs. So, and you know, I'm never gonna say anybody's name or anything like that on these videos, but I definitely see it with certain people where they have ambition, they have drive, and then they drink, and then they drink, and then they drink. And then the alcohol just strips all that ambition from them. You know, they wanted to start a business, but they kept drinking on weekends, drinking on weekends, drinking on weekends. You come up to them with that talk. You come up to them the next day and you're like, hey, man. You come up to them like a couple months later and you're like, hey, man, what happened with that business idea? You still trying to do that? Or, you know what I'm saying? And they just might be like, oh, no, man. You know, they're a little bit more wishy-washy about it. They don't really necessarily have the drive. Another thing that I want to add on to alcohol and why I do not drink alcohol is the testosterone, man. I'm trying to get big. You know, I'm trying to like reach like basically my genetic potential, and alcohol kind of stunts your muscle growth. It stunts muscle development. It lowers testosterone, and I can't really have that. I don't really have that. And it's a similar thing with weed. Weed doesn't necessarily lower your testosterone, but it definitely made me a bit more like emotional, you know, like a little less calculated, a bit more emotional. You know, it kind of soothed my edge. You know, that edge that you have in you that you sometimes feel of like, oh man, I gotta wake up at like 6 a.m. I gotta hit the gym at like 8 or like 9, or like, ooh, should I hit the gym at 5 a.m. today? Like, you know, that little edge that like kind of pushes you past where you currently are. I feel like we kind of softened that, like, yeah, I can go to the gym in like 3, man. It's okay. As long as I hit it, or I ain't gotta do all my workouts. I can just do some, you know, and it just lowers it. What weed does is it kind of lowers the bar and lowers the bar and lowers the bar. When in life, going through the years, especially as a young man, you should keep raising the bar and raising the bar and raising the bar. So that's what I feel like weed did to me. In alcohol, I was never really a fan of alcohol, but I did drink here and there, and it just, it makes you feel like shit. It doesn't taste good. Like, these are all personal preferences, guys, at this point in the video, but yeah, it just makes you feel like crap. It doesn't taste good. It tastes awful. I mean, it literally tastes like poison. And all my spiritual people already know alcohol, which means flesh eating demon. I used to party, and the morning after I partied, it'd be like a 2-day event. It would be, I'd party, right? So that night would be completely gone because I'm partying. I'm not going to get anything productive partying, right? But then it would feed into the morning because I drink, and then I feel like crap until like 12. And then even after 12, it's like it goes deeper into like 3. And then you like 5, and the day is basically already gone because you last night went drinking. You last night went drinking, and you can't do shit until like 5, which I just always thought was ridiculous, right? It's just, I don't think it's really good for you, man. It makes you look fat. It does. It gives you that gut belly, that little belly and stuff. I gotta keep these abs, bro. I'm already eating like sugar sometimes and stuff. Oh, and as for nicotine, I quit nicotine about a month ago. So I am like pretty much fresh on quitting nicotine. I used to vape quite a bit, but I quit that because I personally did not want to be a slave to anything. And I feel like nicotine, I did a little bit of research, so it's not really I feel like, it's kind of like I know. Nicotine causes mood swings, okay? It causes mood swings because what it does is it lowers the cortisol levels in your brain. So cortisol is like what activates when you feel stressed out. You get like cortisol levels in your brain, and what nicotine does is it kind of lowers those levels, because instead of you feeling stressed out naturally, you know, you feel stressed out, but it's natural, you can handle it. Instead, you hit the vape, you know, you just type shit. And then what that does is it fucks up your dopamine levels, it fucks up your cortisol, fucks up serotonin. It fucks up all, what nicotine does, it kind of fucks up all these like chemicals that are supposed to naturally occur in your brain, because when you hit nicotine, it's a shot of dopamine instantly. It's a shot of dopamine. It's a free reward. You know, your brain is rewarding you. It don't know what it's rewarding you for, but it's just rewarding you. You know, your heart pressure goes up and all this stuff. I did research about this because I was like, do I really need to quit nicotine? Do I really? But I did research. And yeah, it's highly addictive too. It was probably the only thing that I was actually chemically addicted to. Now, I was addicted to weed, and if you think weed's not addictive, then come on, bro. But it's just not chemically addictive. So nicotine was the only thing that I was actually chemically addicted to, like real life addicted. And I had to cut that off because I got a little bit of a spiritual nature to me, if I'm being honest, and I just felt like you shouldn't be a slave to anything on this, you know, kind of material world. You shouldn't like need something, you know. You shouldn't need something. Like a lot of smokers, bro, you take them out into the woods, you know, to survive for a little bit, and they're gonna be like, oh, what am I gonna do? My nicotine, or you kind of get what I'm saying, my alcohol, or it's like, bro, food and water, that's all you really need to survive. I don't want to have to survive on nicotine for the rest of my life. And that's what I kind of came to the realization of, is that if I don't quit nicotine now, then I'm going to have to be smoking nicotine for the rest of my life. And then that can dip into cigarettes, which cigarettes are very harmful. You know, some say that nicotine devices and cigarettes are the same, or nicotine's worse, or vapes are worse, or cigarettes are worse. I don't really care. They're all pretty bad to me. It's all like the same type of thing. It all goes under the same thing. So to anyone personally trying to quit nicotine, weed, or alcohol, you got to ask yourself, why do you want to quit? You really have to really write down. I think I did this for pretty much every single substance. I know I did it for weed, and I know I did it for nicotine. I don't think I did it for alcohol, because alcohol wasn't really that big of a problem. But for weed and nicotine, I wrote down literally the cons. I wrote down the pros and the cons. And you really have to like try to be as logical about it as possible. So that's why I think CBD was a good like middle ground for me, because it kind of, to me, CBD literally gives you all the great benefits of weed, which is like the healing factor, the more chill mood, the just like all the great benefits of weed without any of the downsides. Besides, you know, shit might be GMO, who knows? But that's why I fucked with CBD, because I'm like, you know what, I can just get all these benefits from CBD. I can just get all these benefits from THC type weed from just CBD. So that's why I switched over. And I only smoke one of those a day. I don't even like smoking those a whole bunch, because I feel like if you smoke them enough, they'll kind of give you the same effects of weed. And I'd be kind of, you know, weary about that, because I don't want to smoke weed. I don't want to get high. What else? This might be a long video. A sober mind is also key. So you kind of want to like yourself sober. You want to like how you are sober. That was one thing that I noticed when I was smoking weed that was like kind of fucked up. It was like I didn't like how I was sober. I smoked weed so much that I was just constantly high. And I was running away from my sober self. Because when you are your sober self, you know, it's more responsibilities, it's more thoughts, it's more, you know. But when you smoke weed, at least the way I was doing it, you kind of go numb. So you don't think about those responsibilities. You don't think about that shit. You're just like, oh, whatever, it's fun, everything's cool, life will work out how it works out, blah, blah, blah. You don't think about that responsibility, all those factors that you should think about as a human being to level up, to get where you want to go. You don't think about that shit. So yeah, you have to like yourself sober. You have to be honest with yourself. Everything is really about being honest with yourself. I personally didn't like myself sober. This was before meditation. This was before reading. This was before even like any self-improvement, probably before exercise and all that stuff too. I just didn't like myself sober, and I thought that was messed up. And then I started to cultivate a relationship with my sober self instead of always being in my high mind. And then I was like, you know what? I actually kind of like being sober throughout the day, literally, because most of the day I was fucking high. So I was like, you know what? I actually kind of like being sober. So that's when I was like, you know what? I'm just going to mostly be sober throughout the day. I'm going to cultivate a relationship with my sober self. So you got to ask yourself that. Do you actually like being sober? You know, whether you're on alcohol, weed, it all depends up to you. But I believe that's it for today, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and externalize greatness. Peace out.